All right, so we got here our mate. We got here our novel. And we are gonna begin part 3. That's right. This is actually probably my favorite part in the book. That's why I put it in the middle, like a gold medalist. It's kind of like where all the craziness starts to happen. And it begins thus. Chapter 1. Rick led the way on foot to our first hostel in Geneva, where adults wore suits. Adults, that is, meaning not us. The city was the cleanest town we had visited so far, and I didn't like it. If we saw flowers, they were in pots, or on ties, or as clocks. A shock to go from the wild and animated Italy to the dry and shaven Switzerland. Even Alex had, by this point, lost that day one innocence. All of us, really. Some time had elapsed. The youth hostel was under construction. Its elevator shafts were worn out, and its rooms, scruffy rooms, we shared with unchaperoned 16-year-olds and tailor-suited envoys on a trip to the UN conference that the whole town was in an uproar about. But back to the scaffolding. Abandoned ladders, the jungle gym of copper coils and buckets of primer speckling the hallways and staircases to and fro. We walked up to the front desk where Rick checked us in. The desk was a piece of plywood over some horse stands, but that didn't stop the transaction from running smoothly. Then after that, we dropped off our bags in the dorm and jetted out into the city. It was dark. Only the glow of a distant lighthouse on Lake Geneva pier caught our attention. Following a line of ant people headed there, we walked. No matter how close we got, the lighthouse didn't get any bigger. In fact, it stayed the same size, flickering in the charcoal darkness of the night, our faces lit by yellow, and our shoulders by the rainbow of a Genevan skyline. Past some couples making out, we got to the small lighthouse, cast iron and white, lots of white and yellow. Rick and Alex stayed shoreside to shoot film of the passers-by, but I rounded the front to catch a glimpse of the other side. The side facing away from the city had a massive spider web over a door. Just one, but massive, and what seemed like a decade's worth of dead bugs stuck up in it. I could tell all these poor lake bugs had been attracted by the yellow light glowing above the web, lured in and then ensnared by the sticky silk. Dead center of the geometric spiral rested the fattest, happiest spider in Central Europe. I stared at him. He winked at me. What a lucky creature, I thought. All he has to do is sit there and let his poor victims come flying into his smorgasbord. When I rounded back shoreside, Rick and Alex had already gone off. I could see them turning off the head of the pier. I sprinted after them. Thanks for waiting. There you are, cried Alex, sarcastic as always. We figured you met somebody back there, Rick said. We didn't want to bother you. Only a spider, I said, playing along, but pissed inside. The boys chuckled. Oh, a spider. Well, 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 Rick said. Let me guess, it talked to you? We continued. Okay, so, a very snappy chapter, 2 pages long. I will confess that this winking spider was borrowed from a Bukowski short story where Henry Chinaski is down on his luck, steps out of a bus station in New Orleans, and as he's walking along, he walks into a store owned by a woman who is a friend of a friend of a friend, and she houses Chinaski for a couple of days. Of course, they, have their adventure. But in all of that, there's a moment where Chinaski realizes that he cannot keep on this charade of pretending to like this woman and just taking advantage of her. And he sees a spider in the bathroom. And the way Bukowski writes it, it's like the only good thing he did for this woman was killing that spider in the bathroom, which is not really that good. And the spider winked at him. That was the point. So maybe he didn't kill the spider. Oh well. End of chapter 1. Let's start with chapter